Hello, everyone, and welcome to our review for The Boys Season 4. We have seen the entirety of the season, while you guys have only seen the first 3 episodes, so sorry about that. So obviously, The Boys follows on from Gen V and Boys Season 3. Victoria Newman is so close to becoming the president, follows her campaign, and obviously the fallout between Homeland and what he did at the end of Season 4, and obviously Butcher's impeding demise due to him taking too much Compound V. Drugs is bad for you, kids. The stars Anthony Starr, Carl Urban, Jack Quaid, Erin Moriarty, and a whole lot more. Literally so much more. I'm not even going to bother going through that whole list. So James, we have seen it all, and we will be discussing everything. We'll try to keep spoilers to a minimum.
Yep.
We obviously won't spoil any major things. So yeah. So James, what are your thoughts on the overall season?
The overall season, I enjoyed it, but it's not really saying much because I find The Boys to be, easily enjoyable. The way it relates to our reality in this world, and just the nature of its trying to be as kind of shock humor as possible. It really tries to do that, and it gives you that in this as well. I think the one thing with The Boys is that it always tries to go above what the previous season did, and I will say that I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that season 4 did shock you a little bit more than what the other seasons have done. There were some moments where I was like, I couldn't watch, or it was just like, oh
really?
My god, yeah. There were some moments, and I can't recall it now, and I don't want to give anything away, but. I mean, what I love about this movie, so used to doing movies right now. It's been a while since we did the TV one. What I liked about this season is that it's actually progressing the story. Once we get from point A to point B being the end of the season, we're seeing real consequences and a real push forward in the story, and that it's actually building up to, like, the finale. This has been building up for a long time now, and I will say that it's been an extremely slow process building up from season 1 to season 4. It's really slow, but this one you actually get that push forward. But it still feels like the Boys and the show is it's too much of the same. I'm not invested in every kind of storyline, and I don't think for a lot of it it's not as clever as it thinks it is. It's trying to have the scale and the amount of characters and. That's my speaker going off. I don't know if you heard that. It's having all these like stories and scales, very similar to what Game of Thrones did with all these kind of locations and narratives with all these characters and stuff. But it's not as clever as Game of Thrones, at least in the earlier seasons. So I hope that the final season is good. It's set it up to be okay, but it's just I don't know. There's just something about this season of The Boys, similar to what I had last season, where it's just like I'm kind of used to I know exactly what The Boys is going to give me. Now we need to see real consequences, and just with this season here, we didn't quite see the consequences, or I guess like the real kind of, you didn't feel any danger for the characters, and that's a problem. I think next season you have to make sure that these some characters you're gonna have to make them feel like they're in danger for the audience. We need to be able to get invested in them. But not too much thoughts. If you've seen The Boys season 1, 2, and 3, you kind of know exactly where it's gonna bring you. But what I will say, to cap my overall thoughts off, is that it sets up nicely for a final season. I'm happy with it.
Yeah, me too. And it's the way it ends, you're just thinking, how the hell is anyone going to survive? Really?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is going to happen, and where is season 5 going to? Obviously, we know where season 5 is going to go, because ever since The Boys came up, it's always been Butcher trying to kill Homelander.
Yeah.
And I think that is the end game. Either one of them is going to die, or both of them. We don't know. We will see. But I had pretty much similar thoughts to you. Only thing I didn't quite agree with was your comment about how it keeps upping each other and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I found season 3 to be a bit worse, or a lot worse. Like, there was obviously some horrific moments in this season, but I just found season 3's content and some of the scenes that played out in that to be a lot more worse and cringeworthy than this season. But other than that, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
There was some plot lines in there that just didn't deserve the screen time. There was a whole character arc in there where it happened, and then it came back, and all it did was just a conversation, and everyone's friends again. It's just like, didn't even need to do that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you could have just had you could have just had the conversation at the start of the season, and then, you know, go from there. But yeah, the whole Homelander and Starlight, you know, the trailers made out to be like the Starlighters versus the Homelanders, and stuff like that. What did you think of that whole dynamic? Did you think it was fleshed out? Well, not quite fleshed out, but did you think it was a bit disappointing in regards to how it was handled, or do you think it was handled perfectly?
No, definitely not handled perfectly. I didn't like it. I really found it quite compelling, especially prior to the season when we knew that it was going to be something like that, because it's, you know, mimicking the US election in a sense. You know, Republicans versus Democrats. So I was like, I was wondering how they were going to explore it and, you know, provide some kind of, you know, commentary or message that can relate to our world. But it doesn't quite explore it enough for you to take anything away from it. It's just, it's at least in the first few episodes, it's very present throughout a lot of what's happening there. But then it kind of gets pushed to the side as we move on to other things. And I think that's a lot of the problem that I had with this season. And I'm not trying to say it's a bad season, but a lot of the stuff is forgotten about, and there's no real focus from, you know, season 1 to episode 1 to episode 8. It's just kind of lost in there. What did you think of that whole narrative?
Yeah, I'm the same with you. I think it went by way too fast. More in particular, Homelander's whole court trial thing.
Definitely. Yeah.
The trailers made it to seem like it would be at least half a season or full season long. And what was it, less than an episode?
Yep.
If that.
Yeah.
It was done and dusted, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
You had so much you could do with this, and they just like flew right by. So I think I was majorly disappointed in regards to that, and then the whole Starlighters versus Homelanders, that was also disappointing. You know, it was cool how they, well, not cool, but it was good how they like focus on a moment in the series, and then they just reference that moment as a tipping point. But you know, just so much more could have been done. Obviously, for me, the standout was Anthony Starr's Homelander. Would you agree that he was a star in this series, or was there another one there that beat him?
No, it's always going to be, is it Anthony or Anthony? Anthony. Interesting. Yeah, a good old New Zealand boy. Yep, he is the standout of the show. And honestly, if you take out Homelander from the show, it's not one that I think I could continue watching. He makes it, he brings it all together. What he does with Homelander, I think, is just great. And each season, he continues to build on top of what he had already established. He goes a little bit further here with Homelander. I love how they continue to grow Homelander's character. He's easily the most compelling character in the show, and he's continued to be explored through this, going back to his earlier days. And I really appreciate the exploration of Homelander that we got in this season. But Anthony Starr just brings it together. I won't say it yet, but he's very close to being in that realm of like, no one else could pull this off. Like a Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, or a Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. There's not many, or Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. Like, I just can't imagine anyone else being that character. So he's the standout. As far as other people in the show, everyone's just really good. Like, there's no one where I'm like, but then I think just what the character that Homelander is and how Anthony Starr portrays him, just no one can, you know, overshadow him. He's just always going to be in that limelight. And whenever he's on the screen, or whenever a Homelander scene is on, you're focused, you're glued to the screen. You're like, okay, what's going to go down here? He's just wildly unpredictable, and Anthony Starr just plays it off so well. Is there anyone else that you would call out besides him?
Nah, I don't think so. I think Jack Quaid, he did some really good stuff with the work he was given. But I think other than that, it was all Anthony Starr, you know, just like the little like facial twitches he does when, like, just goes to show that he's like slowly losing his marbles. Like, it's the real little things of acting that you don't really notice that just makes a performance so much more grander. And I really hope he does get nominated or win an Emmy, because I think his work as Homelander is probably, it's deserving of one. It's like forgot the actor's name. The guy that plays Saul Goodman. He's
Bob
just so
Odenkirk,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah, he's just so good in Better Call Saul, but he just could never win it.
Well,
So yeah,
hopefully an Emmy nomination at least, right?
at least you'd think so, and hopefully like the whole thing about it being a superhero TV series doesn't turn them away.
Yeah.
We've had 3 new characters in this. Jeffrey D. Morgan, he plays a CIA agent. And then we also have Valerie Curry as Firecracker and Susan Hayward as Sister Sage. What did you think of their performances as these newcomers?
I really like them. I think they have that kind of, they played the part well. They just kind of fit into what The Boys is, and they just played one of those characters, that just fit alongside the characters around them and just the world that they play into. So I think they did a really, respectable job. There's none of them like stood out where I'm like, oh my gosh, like they're so brilliant as this. But their characters is what I liked more. Not so much Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I found his character to be ultimately kind of pointless. I was like, okay, like yeah. I didn't like how they resolved who that character really was. But when it came to Firecracker and Sister Sage, I really liked them. I found them very interesting characters. Particularly, where Firecracker goes and what she does towards the end. Naya knows what I'm talking about, and I think it's just super interesting and just it plays well into Homelander and his character. And yeah, you just gotta watch and see what I'm talking about with that one. Sister Sage is the one that's probably the most interesting, and that is just because. I think Homelander's very sick of his crew or people around him. The sycophantic who just praise him and pray to him and just do whatever he says. But Sister Sage is kind of that polar opposite. They will challenge him, and he knows that she's smarter than him and she's ultra smart, and we get to see it. But it's funny when she has another side to herself that's just like, oh wow, that's which is just as interesting. But yeah, no, I like her introduction. I can't wait to see how she plays into the final season.
Quick comment on regards to one of the trailer things we talked about was the soup farm, the animal soups. When we saw it, we were like, oh my god, this is bonkers. Was it as bonkers as the trailers made it out to be?
Yeah, nah, I won't say it because I knew exactly, like when the characters were in that area, I'm like, oh, here it comes. And then the trailers kind of gave us exactly what we got, which were those, rabid sheep and chickens that were just crazy. A lot of fun to watch, but it didn't blow me away or have me in shock because I just knew it was fun, or I knew it was coming, and yeah, it was a lot of fun though. It was funny.
I completely forgot that was in the thing until I saw it. I was like, oh, super sheep. All right. I think we're pretty much done here. We can't really get into the nitty gritty without spoilers. Is there anything else you want to touch upon before we get to scores?
One thing, it might be more of a question, but one thing that I don't like about The Boys, and I hate when TV shows do this in general, it's where they kind of leave the audience just, edging for ages, just they're not going to reveal to you, but they get close to revealing stuff and then they just don't do it at all and they just finish it. I feel like this is what The Boys season 4 is. So it feels like season 5 is just going to have a ton of reveals because I left this season with more questions than answers, and it's just they won't reveal stuff, and so they're clearly saving it for the last season. But man, I hope this wait is worth it because I need some progression. But yeah, did you feel the same way? You wanted more to be revealed in this season?
No, not really. I just had more questions roundabout in regards to Butcher's character, but that was about it. I didn't really have anything that I wanted to be revealed or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we just, once this review finishes, you can tell me. And then a light bulb might click in my head and be like, oh yeah, that's right.
Okay, all right. We won't spoil it for anyone.
Cool. All right, what is your score for season 4 of The Boys?
Season 4 of The Boys, man, this is tough. It's hard to encapsulate an entire season into a score out of 10 because it's 8 different episodes. I will say I'm just going to give it a 7 out of 10 It's good, but it's one of the weaker. Season 3 and 4 have been quite weak for me for the boys. I think season 1 and 2 are my favorites by far. They're like peak boys. But yeah, 7 out of 10 for season 4.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was my score as well.
Oh, look
7
at that.
out of 10.
Love it.
Not quite the heights of the first two seasons,
Mm-hmm.
but hopefully season 5 can wrap up all of the story in a nice bow
Yeah.
with some stakes
Mm-hmm.
and not be Ted Lasso or Game of Thrones like and disappointing.
I love that Ted Lasso's in like the Game of Thrones club now of just awful TV endings. Oh
Hey,
man.
I promised so much and failed to deliver.
That was horrendous. Don't ever remind me of that. Oh, one question that I did actually have saved up. This tying with Gen V, we know everyone knows that was happening prior to the season being released. Do you think it tied those two together well?
No, I don't think it did at all. There was like a few callbacks and a few cameos, and that was it. If anything, season 5 is going to be the one where it actually ties it together. But this one, I was just like, oh, okay, was that how they're going to do it? Like, oh, so stupid.
Yeah, I wonder if the season 2 of Gen V comes out before season 5 of The Boys, because I know Boys season 5 is filming at the end of this year. So
I think so, because technically Gen V season 2 was filming. I don't know if it's continued filming.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, so yeah, it'll be next year, and then I'd say Boys is 26.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. I think that'll be a good wait time.
Yeah.
But hey, that will do us on our review. 7 out of 10. Don't need to average anything out. That's our score. If you like it, then you can do us a favor and like it and subscribe and comment. If you didn't like it, then comment, like, and subscribe as well, because we don't care either way, and we'll ask you more questions. Be sure to come back once all 8 episodes have been finished, and we can have a chat about it, get your thoughts, spoiler free. No, spoilers included. You know, no hold bars when that 8th episode drops. You know, just drop all the spoilers in the comments and boost this post up to what it should be. You guys doing us a big favor. Head over to Instagram or X, flick us a DM if you want to have a more private, spoiler-free sort of conversation.
Yep.
Let us. We can tell you our actual thoughts. Other than that, we have to review Despicable Me 4 now, which is gonna be a tough year. So we'll catch you in a very short moment, and yeah, we'll see you on Let's Be Real coming out later this week. Thanks, guys. Catch you later.
Peace.